Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you watching this video. I am Manat Sharma from Oliveboard and I'm here with the live mint analysis that we do every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Before I begin, just let me know whether my audio and video is clear so that we can have the class in a smooth and continuous manner. Just write down in the comment section and let me know. And also, I hope all of you are studying. Now, this live mint analysis that we do 3 days a week, it is very important from your exam point of view, especially for all regulatory body examinations. Okay, because we try to cover most of finance economy news, and along with that we also cover a lot of other news also, so that you have an idea as to what is happening around the world. Okay, good morning John, how are you? Okay, so without wasting any time, let's begin with our session. Also, if you want to download this YouTube class PDF, you can do it from the Oliveboard app. Just go to the courses section, and there's going to be a separate folder of YouTube class PDFs. You can download it from here. All right, chaliye. Now let's take a look as to what are we going to cover in today's session. First news is related to NABFID, multilateral agencies to back high-rated infra debt. So, what is this news related to? We are going to talk about how we can raise money for infrastructure purposes, and we're going to talk about the role of NABFID and multilateral agencies over here. All right. Second, we're going to talk about India plans to slash red tape, roll out red carpet for FDI. That means we have new rules for foreign direct investment. We have those who are investors, foreign direct investors. We are going to improve the rules and regulations. We are going to reduce red tapeism. What is red tapeism? When there is delays and there is a lot of regulatory hurdles, we are going to try and solve those problems. Okay, this is the second news. Then Moody's retains India's rating at Baa3 with a stable outlook. We are going to check what this means, and we have yet another rating of Moody's. We have seen that Fitch had given the ratings for India. Then we had seen S&P Global giving us the ratings. Then there was RNI of Japan that gave us the rating. And also we are seeing that these credit rating agencies, they give us credit which shows how our government performs with respect to paying back the debt. So we're going to understand this. Then we're going to talk about IIP growth, Index of Industrial Production. We're going to talk about our industrial sector, how it has grown, what all sectors have grown under this industrial or the manufacturing sector, what all have grown and what have shown a dip. Okay, then India's industrial growth is not at odds with clean air. Then we're going to see that if we are focusing on industrial growth, है ना, how is it contrasting with our progress of clean air, or you can say reducing GHG emissions, or 2070 goal of net zero emissions. We are going to see that contrast, that if we are focusing on growth in the economy, is it in contrast to, is it leading to environmental degradation or not, that we are going to see. Then we're going to talk about how repo rate cuts are lost in transmission. We know that by 100 basis points, the Monetary Policy Committee has reduced the repo rate, right? We are going to check out that, with with this reduction, how much transmission has happened. You're going to understand what is this transmission mechanism. Okay, I'll try to explain you this entire transmission mechanism. Then we're going to cover a few fact based news, and at last we're going to do a few MCQs. All right, this is going to be the agenda for today. Let's take a look as to the first article over here. NABFID, multilateral agencies to back high rated infra debt. Now, what is this news about? See, NABFID, your National Bank for Financing and Infrastructure and Development, it is collaborating with whom? It is collaborating with World Bank, with Asian Development Bank on a $1 billion risk sharing facility. That means we are talking about a collaboration between NABFID. We are talking about a collaboration between NABFID, World Bank, and Asian Development Bank. For what? For $1 billion risk sharing facility. What is the purpose? To introduce credit enhancement products to support infrastructure debt financing in India. So we want to infrastructure finance infrastructure in our country, and for that We are talking about credit enhancement products wherein the money is going to, or the risk is going to be shared by these agencies. Okay, what is the arrangement? NABFID is going to provide partial credit guarantees to the infrastructure firms, especially with triple B to A credit rating. So if there's any firm whose credit rating is triple B to A, okay, we are going to, our NABFID is going to take guarantees, credit guarantees to these infrastructure firms. Okay, what are the benefits for the companies? They're going to enhance their credit profiles, reduce borrowing costs, access bond markets on favorable terms. Now if I talk about these ratings, A rating means the quality of credit is high and low default risk. If triple B rating, medium credit quality, moderate default risk. Okay, now, what is the market potential for this? Estimated opportunity for credit enhanced bonds is around 5 trillion rupees. NABFID expects exposure up to 75,000 crore over 2 years. For the first 2 years, 40 to 50,000 crore expected worth of bonds. Okay, and if I talk about the regulatory aspect of it, then RBI caps investments at 20% for the regulated entities under alternative investment fund scheme, and no single entity can exceed 10%. Okay, so launch of credit enhancement products will demonstrate viability. It is going to create significant opportunities for issuance. And India is bridging an infrastructure financing gap exceeding 5% of GDP. So our target is that by 2047 we have to become a $30 trillion economy. Okay, okay, and this should be $5 trillion economy, है ना? ठीक है. So basically what this news is about, that NABFID is collaborating with Asian Development Bank, with World Bank, ठीक है, World Bank, collaborating with Asian Development Bank, collaborating with World Bank. Why? To enhance the infrastructure debt. To enhance what? Infrastructure debt in the country. And that this is going to really help in infrastructure financing, and it is going to really help in accelerating infrastructure development so that we can become a developed country by the year 2047. Okay, fine. So this is $30 trillion only. Okay, $30 trillion economy is our target by 2047, and this is going to really help us. Okay, partnership with multilateral agencies is going to strengthen NABFID's capital also. It is going to back, it is going to enable backing of large volumes of bonds. It is going to encourage corporates to tap into credit enhanced bonds. Of course there are challenges that this credit enhancement, it might reduce the borrowing costs and improve credit worthiness, but of course high capital requirements, long project timelines, this discourages the traditional lenders, because if you lend your money for infrastructure purposes, it is going to be for a long period of time. Okay, yes, we will be targeting 30 trillion. Yes, Ashish, absolutely correct. We are $5 trillion right now, and our target is that we have to target $30 trillion of economy by the year 2047. Okay, absolutely correct. India plans to slash red tapeism, roll out red carpet for FDI. Now, what is this news about? Government of India plans to make it easier for the foreign investors to invest in India by reducing red tapeism. What is red tapeism? It is a word which describes bureaucratic hurdles. Bureaucratic hurdles. Okay, any kind of regulatory hurdles in the process of bringing in foreign direct investment, so that more it is easier for people to invest in our country. Okay, so the goal is to make FDI procedures simple, faster, and more investor friendly. Okay, Department of for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, it operates under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and this is an initiative which is led by this department. Okay, so it is going to review and formulate the FDI policy of our country. Okay, then what are the current FDI procedures right now? If you have to bring in foreign direct investment in the country, the foreign investors, they have to fill out multiple forms. They have to use different portals to fill out these forms. For example, we have form FCGPR, which is for issuing shares to non-residents. We have form FCTRS for transferring shares, take a foreign currency to minus transfer of shares. Then annual foreign liabilities and assets returned to the RBI, this also has to be filled. Form ESOP for issuing shares to employees. Government approvals for specific sectors via national single window system. So right now what we have to do is we have to fill a lot of forms. ठीक है, बहुत सारे forms we have to fill. There are a lot of compliances that we have to ensure. So because of this, it discourages foreign direct investment, and that is why we are trying to simplify this. We are going to reduce this. So what is the aim of the center? To synchronize the processes, make India more FDI friendly, reduce compliance burdens, simplify reporting, ensure faster approval mechanisms, eliminating duplication of work, providing a single window system for FDI related processes. Okay, so we are trying to just simplify these norms so that it's easy for foreign direct investors to invest in our country. If I talk about this April to June 2025, India witnessed 15% year on year rise in FDI inflows, which reached $18.62 billion compared to $16.17 billion. Okay, the pace of growth has slowed down because as in quarter one of financial year 24, inflows were $10.94 billion compared to $18.62 billion. Okay, so we have to just enhance the foreign direct investors investing in our country. Okay, there are major issues faced by the investors. First of all, delays in approval. This is the biggest challenge. In case of non-compliance with FEMA, there is no fixed timeline for resolution by the RBI. At least if there is any kind of problem that is occurring, there should be a fixed timeline. कि ठीक है, within 2 months, within 3 months, or within 5 months, within 6 months, whatever the timeline, कि this problem will be resolved. Abhi there is no fixed timeline, which again discourages the investors. ठीक है, then access to RBI officials is limited. Investors often lack clarity on procedures. ठीक है, कि we have to approach whom, right? Tax experts and consulting firms, they have emphasized the need to enhance RBI's connectivity and support to these investors. Okay, so this what are the expected measures? We are going to simplify the compliance systems, minimize reporting requirements, synchronize various approval routes, reduce paperwork and delays. Okay, FDI plays a very important role in India's economic growth by bringing capital, technology, expertise, and that is why we have to improve. We have to improve upon these regulatory hurdles and also that it's easier for these investors to come and invest in our country. Okay, then we have a news related to Moody's. It has retained India's rating at Baa3 with a stable outlook. Okay, so Moody's ratings has retained India's sovereign credit rating at Baa3, but this is the lowest investment grade. But the rating remains stable. The outlook is stable. Okay, and why stable? Because India is one of the fastest growing economy. Okay, it has a sound external position, stable domestic financing base, and because of these strengths we have maintained resilience to external challenges also, and despite these high US tariffs, despite these geopolitical tensions, we've still maintained good amount of we've maintained resilience in the economy. Okay, and we have a large and rapidly growing economy. We have a sound external position, we have stable domestic financing base, because of which our credit shows strengths. Okay, but what are the concerns highlighted by Moody's? That India continues to face long-standing fiscal weaknesses. There is high debt burden, gradual fiscal consolidation, steady GDP growth may only lead to slow decline in government's debt levels. Decline will not be sufficient because we need to improve our debt affordability. Fiscal measures are still needed to boost private consumption and increase government revenue. ठीक है, the stable outlook reflects Modi's confidence that India's credit strengths, including its large domestic market, stable finance base, strong external sector, all these have made India a resilient economy. We have other ratings also. For example, Japan's rating, RNI rating, है ना, they upgraded India's long-term rating to triple B plus from triple B with a stable outlook. S&P, Morningstar, DBRS, and other rating agencies, they've also upgraded. You have to check out these. You have to check out the recent rating agencies and upgraded how they have upgraded the ratings. Okay, check this out. It is very important. Directly you can get a question from here. Okay, I hope this is clear. Right, chaliye. And what is the significance of rating gains? See, despite these global economic uncertainties, geopolitical volatilities, it shows that India's macroeconomic stability is good. We have a steady growth and fiscal discipline. And when we are shown that we have a stable outlook, that means taking in money from different countries is going to be easy. Borrowing money is going to be easy for the country. Borrowing money is going to be easy for the country, and people are going to lend to our country, and that money then can be used for infrastructure development, for overall development of the economy, right? That is the benefit of these credit rating agencies. So when these credit rating agencies provide their rating, our loans, our debt, the amount of access that we have to finance, the access that we have to finance, that is going to improve. Okay, that is what is the importance of this. Okay, so our credit profile shows strong growth potential. We have a large domestic market. We have favorable demographics. All right, I hope this is clear. Then IIP growth slows to 4% in August. What is this news? That we are talking about the industrial output performance. India's industrial output grew 4% in August 2025, showing a slowdown from July's 4.3% growth. The slowdown is due to weakness in manufacturing activity. है ना? Even though there was recovery in mining and electricity production, there was still overall weakness in the manufacturing activity. ठीक है, there has been a slowdown. July का growth was 4.3% and August का growth 4%, less than July's growth. Little slowdown, overall slowdown. ठीक है, index of industrial production, what it is? It measures industrial growth rate in sectors like manufacturing, mining and electricity. Very very important. Okay, it has seen a decline since January 25. It recovered in July, but again the performance is slowed to 4% in this particular month. Manufacturing sector mein, which had seen steady growth throughout the fiscal year, reached its fastest expansion 5.3% in July, but it slowed to 3.8% in August. So manufacturing sector mein we saw a slowdown in August. ठीक है, then mining sector, which had been contracting since the starting of the fiscal year, it has reported a 6% growth in August. Electricity generation sector में, which had contracted in May and June, it recovered in July, posted a 4.15% growth in August. Okay, then if I talk about infrastructure and construction goods, then output grew by 10.6% in August, slightly slower than July's 13.7% growth. Capital goods segment grew 4.4% in August. Okay, so we have seen a slight moderation in IIP growth, but this is temporary. And as rising private consumption, we are likely to see increase in industrial output. So economists are saying that this is temporary. We don't need to worry about it. Okay, then what is the outlook for the coming months? The urban economy is expected to benefit from lower lending rates, income tax relief measures, rationalization of GST. Because of all these things, our demand is going to be stimulated, and then industrial output will obviously be stimulated. Okay, you have to remember this table over here. This is the data that you have to remember for August 2025. What is the overall IIP growth rate in August? 4%, less than July, 4.3%. Manufacturing may specifically 3.8%. Again, this also slowed from 5.3% in July. ठीक है, mining and electricity recovered to 6% and 4.15%. That means we've seen a positive outlook over here. Infrastructure and construction may also we have seen a decline. Capital goods maybe we've seen a decline. So only mining and electricity have recovered. Baki sub may we have seen a slowdown. Okay, remember this data, very very important. They can directly ask you in the form of MCQ. All right. Then we have India's industrial growth is not at odds with clean air. So what are we talking about over here? India wants to become a Viksit Bharat by the year 2047. That means we have to focus on development. That means we have to focus on industrial growth. That means we have to focus on manufacturing. That means it is going to impact the environment also. So our development strategy, it relies heavily on rapid industrial growth. This industrial growth is often seen as conflicting with clean air, obviously, because it leads to environmental degradation. But this article questions whether this trade off is inevitable. Okay, whether this trade off of industrial growth or and environmental degradation, is this trade off you can say inevitable. So, what is India's position on climate action? We are a leading voice for low and middle income countries. Our target is net zero emissions by 2070. We are continuously focusing on clean energy as well, fostering non fossil fuel energy. We are moving towards renewable energy sources. है ना? If I talk about Gujarat's emission trading scheme, Gujarat has launched this ETS emission trading scheme. What is this emission trading scheme? That, for example, there is a cap which is given to you. This is company A, this is company B, that you can emit only 100 units of carbon. You can emit, both have got a quota कि 100 units से ज़्यादा you cannot emit. ठीक है? Now what happens is A has only emitted 50 units. That means it has excess of 50 units, and B has in excess released carbon dioxide emissions or or overall emissions by 150 units. ठीक है? So B has in excess used 50 units and A has a buffer of 50 units. So what they can do is A can sell its 50 units to B. It just has to provide a certificate. ठीक है? So overall, if we see the overall scenario, then emissions have reduced. So A has reduced more emissions, B has committed more emissions, but they have traded with themselves in exchange of money. So B provides A with money and A provides a certificate to B, 50 units. Now they are even. Okay, this is what is called emission trading scheme, emission trading mechanism. So Gujarat has pioneered an emission trading scheme for particulate matter pollution, for PM pollution, particulate matter. You might have heard PM 2.5, PM 10, है ना, उसके लिए. What does this ETS do? It allows a regulator to cap total emissions and enable businesses to trade permits. Okay, just like I told you, they can trade this, they can trade their units with each other. And where has this Gujarat Pollution Control Board, with whom has it collaborated? With University of Chicago, Yale University, University of Warwick, Abdul Latif Jameel Poverty Action Lab. Okay, so what are the results of this ETS pilot in Surat? So they launched from 2019 to 2022. They launched this emission trading scheme, a pilot project from 2019 to 22 in Surat. So firms under ETS reduced particulate matter emissions by 20 to 30%. So this was a very positive scheme. Participants benefited from 11% lower pollution abatement costs. Both financial gains and greater participation was seen. If we talk about advantages of ETS over traditional regulations, then in the traditional system, there were uniform requirements, penalties were there, limits flexibility was not there. But in this emission trading scheme, it offers cost benefits to the people because you can trade the certificate, you can trade your emissions with each other, so it becomes a source of income. है ना? It lets industries choose between buying permits or investing in clean technology. You can either buy permits, you can either buy these certificates or just invest in clean technology. It depends on you. And you are going to be even somehow. It ensures industries can stay productive and competitive. They can reduce pollution also. Okay, markets function almost perfectly in Surat, with plants holding enough permits 99% of the time. Okay, so GPCB expanded this ETS to additional clusters in Surat, launched it in Ahmedabad also in September 2023. And Gujarat is considering ETS for sulfur emissions also. So this is going to really solve the health and economic crisis. It is going to improve the overall scenario. According to Air Quality Life Index, India's population could gain 3.5% in life expectancy if WHO guidelines on air quality are met. That means even if we are focusing on industrial development, if we along with that focus on clean technology, or if we bring in such emission trading schemes like that of Gujarat, which has brought it in for particulate matter, for it is trying for sulfur emissions also. If we bring such things, then we can control these emissions. We can move towards a developed country also while focusing on a clean environment. That is what this news is about. Okay, India's national clean air program and expansion of real time air quality monitoring are welcome shifts. And a Gujarat ETS experiment highlights how scientific evidence plus innovation regulation can really address this trade off between industrial growth and environmental protection. We can do both of them if we have the proper innovation, if we do the proper with scientific evidence and all. Okay, then we have a news related to repo rate cuts which are lost in transmission. Okay, what is this news? That repo rate cuts. What is this transmission mechanism? See, what happens is when RBI reduces this repo rate. What is repo rate? The rate at which commercial banks take loan from whom? From the central bank, right? From RBI. Now, if this repo rate is reduced, what will happen is that banks will be able to take more loans from RBI. When they'll be able to take more loans from RBI, that means they are going to have more loans to lend. When they have more loans to lend, they can reduce their rate of interest also. If they reduce their rate of interest, more and more people will take loans. Money supply with the people will increase. Then cash in hand with people will increase. That means they are going to spend more. That means if I talk about AD is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports, if spending increased, consumption increases, investment increases, aggregate demand increases. Aggregate demand increases, GDP increases, economic growth increases. This is the entire transmission mechanism. Now, what is this news saying? That we have reduced repo rate by 100 basis points, but we are not seeing that penetration as of now. Are these repo rate cuts lost in transmission? That is what we are, basically going to discuss over here. Okay. So since February 25, RBI has lowered repo rate by 100 basis points, but the transmission is very partial. Banks are still repricing loans with a lag. Uneven transmission reflects both cautious bank behavior and broader economic conditions. There's stronger domestic demand, GST rate rationalization, it could support lending. But rising protectionist sentiment, weak consumption appetite, global headwinds, it makes it difficult for banks to reduce lending rates sharply. So there are other reasons also why we are not able to reduce the rate of interest. Why the banks are not able to reduce the rate of interest. Okay? Borrowers have not really benefited as much as savers from repo rate changes. RBI data shows sharper adjustments in deposit rates compared to lending rates. Weighted average lending rate fell less than this weighted average domestic term deposit rate. Okay, data shows lending rates are slow to adjust to these repo changes. That means we are not seeing a proper transmission of repo rate. Okay, if I talk about the foreign banks, lending rates on fresh rupee loans rose by 104 basis points. Public sector banks lending rates rose by 46 basis points. Okay, deposit rates rose by 100 basis points. Private sector banks lending rates rose by 62 bps and deposit rates by 99 bps. That means what we are saying, that repo rate reduction is not really impacting. It is not really reducing the rate of interest of the banks. Okay, if I talk about the liquidity position of commercial banks as of first half 2025, then there are outstanding borrowings from RBI which have declined. Net reserves increased from 2.98 trillion rupees in January to 12.99 trillion rupees in July 2025. Okay, commercial banks are sitting on higher reserves. Loans and advances grew 126.6 trillion in July. Credit growth slowed 14.8% year on year in July. Okay, and if I talk about credit to deposit ratio, deposit growth has expanded, rising from 217.7 trillion rupees in January to 230.5 trillion rupees. Bank credit increased from 174.3 trillion to 185 trillion. But credit to deposit ratio slipped. That means people are not taking money. People are not borrowing money. है ना? If they won't borrow money, money supply in the economy won't increase, their consumption, investment, spending will not increase, aggregate demand will not increase, economic growth will not increase. So the entire scenario of this monetary policy transmission or repo rate transmission is not working. ठीक है? There is weak investment appetite. Investment in manufacturing sector remains weak. RBI's quarterly order books, inventories, and capacity utilization survey shows that capacity utilization fell from 66.6% to 64.1% in financial year 25. Okay, and companies are still cautious due to profit concerns and demand uncertainty. That means what we are seeing is that repo rate cuts, they have not translated into lending rate reductions because bank behavior has been very cautious. There is weak credit demand, there's subdued investment appetite. These are the reasons why we are not able to see a change in the repo rate or a transmission of the repo rate. Apart from that, we have a few fact-based news. For example, modern seed hubs to boost crop yields. Okay, we have this news that modern seed hubs, they're going to boost our crop yields. India is planning to establish 5 modern seed breeding facilities across the country. How many? 5 modern seed breeding facilities to be established in the country. What is the objective? Encourage advanced seed research, develop high yielding disease resilient crop varieties. Okay, right now we have 2 facilities at ICAR, Indian Council of Agricultural Research. We have 2 facilities, but now we are going to have 5 modern seed breeding facilities. The number will be increased to 7 by the end of this current fiscal year. Okay, what is the role of seed breeding technology? It enables rapid crop development. It is going to, bring in crop varieties in controlled environmental conditions like controlled temperature, light intensity, day length in a chamber. ठीक है, and breeding cycle, it shortens the breeding cycle of a seed by 2 to 3 years so that our yield, our productivity increases. Okay, so the process of multiplying seeds from the original plant breeding material to final seeds distributed to the farmers is known as generation. ठीक है, so when we are reducing this timeline of the seeds, है ना, to yield us the returns, that is what is called generation. This applies to crops such as wheat, rice, cotton, soybean, millets, maize, mustard, which are maximum consumed by the people of our country. It supports the development of high yielding, disease resilient, quality crop varieties so that we can, ensure food security. We can ensure nutritional security. What all institutes are involved? Central Institute for Cotton Research in Nagpur, Indian Institute of Rice Research in Hyderabad, uh, Indian Agricultural Research Institute in New Delhi, Indian Institute of Agricultural Biotechnology in Ranchi, Indian Institute of Maize Research in Ludhiana. ठीक है, each center will require how much investment? 2 to 12 crore of investment, depending on the area, depending on the facilities. This is going to really transform our crop research. है ना, by enabling 4 crop generations per year, it is going to really shorten the breeding cycles as compared to traditional farming. Breeding cycles will be reduced to 2 to 3 years from 5 to 6 years. ठीक है, so it is going to really benefit the entire economy. Then, US senators mount scrutiny on IT companies. US lawmakers intensify scrutiny of offshoring sector. What is this news about? The US lawmakers, including senators, representatives, they are intensifying the scrutiny over these IT companies like Tata Consultancy Services. ठीक है, H1B visa fee hike we have seen from $100 to $100,000. Why? Because they are trying to reduce the misuse of H1B visas. Visa reform efforts. This article mentions that US President Donald Trump's steep hike in this fees threatens service providers. ठीक है, what are the targeted companies? We have Tata Consultancy Services, Cognizant Technology Solutions Corp. These are the targeted companies. Okay, so what are there have been there are allegations that they are discriminating against treatment of US workers and alleged reverse discrimination against American employees. That is what problem we are seeing. Then OPEC Plus plans another oil output hike in November. So in your previous livemint analysis classes, we saw that OPEC as an organization, OPEC Plus as an organization, it increased its output. है ना, हमने reason क्या देखा था? We saw the reason that they were, countries which are part of this cartel, like Iran, like Kazakhstan, which were not adhering to the limit which was set by OPEC Plus, and they were overproducing, because of which the prices of petrol were reducing. Prices of oil were reducing. So what did they say? Ki we are also going to produce and increase our production so that the prices can be at par with each other. Fine. Now again in November, what they are saying is that OPEC Plus plans to increase the oil output again. If oil output increases, that means international oil prices will reduce, and this oil price burden is going to reduce. That is what this means. So OPEC Plus is likely to approve another oil production increase of at least 137,000 barrels per day. The group is encouraged by rising oil prices and aims to regain the market share. Okay, they want to regain the market share, and it has reversed its previous strategy of output cuts. So pehle they used to follow this strategy of reducing their outputs, but now they have raised quotas by over 2.5 million barrels per day. Plus, US is also putting a pressure on them. Okay, the reversal and increases come after pressure from US President Donald Trump to lower oil prices. So US is trying to put that pressure. Ki please lower the oil prices. Okay, so OPEC plus, if we talk about the composition, it pumps half of the world's oil and includes Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries plus Russia and other allies. So what is OPEC plus? It is an alliance of 22 oil producing nations. They collaborate to regulate the supply of crude oil in global markets. The main goal is to stabilize oil prices by coordinating with each other. It was established towards the end of 2016. Okay? So there are 12 core members of OPEC. पहले there are 12 core members of OPEC, and then plus other oil producing countries also. So mostly OPEC ke members are from Middle East and Africa. It includes non-OPEC countries like Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Russia, Mexico, Malaysia, South Sudan, Oman. ठीक है, and OPEC is a permanent intergovernmental organization of major oil exporting countries. It was founded in 1960 by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, the first five countries which were part of OPEC. Right now there are 12 member countries, including Algeria, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Libya, Nigeria, and UAE. Where is the headquarter of OPEC? It is in Vienna, Austria. This you have to remember. Okay, you should know which are the members of OPEC, which are the members of OPEC plus. Okay, okay, I hope this is clear. Then we have a very nice article that there are too few women at work. We have to fix this problem so that we can spur the economy. What is the core economic problem? That there is insufficient labor allocation, especially women are underrepresented in the workforce because of which economic growth is stalled. Okay? Now they're offering a solution over here that we need to address and remove the barriers to women's participation. It is very important to spur the economy by improving the efficiency of human capital allocation. Okay, there are labor market imperfections, there are societal barriers which are hindering the increase of women participation. Okay, this article, it uses a US study and it shows that if women are entered into the workforce, if women participation increases, then around labor output might increase by about 15 to 20%. Okay, and two types of distortions are highlighted over here: demand side distortions and supply side distortions. Demand side distortions may we mean discrimination or unequal pay. Okay, unequal when we provide unequal pay to the women as compared to the men, है ना? When we do not provide equal pay for equal work, which is biased, which are the bias which is done by the employers, biased attitude of the employers. Then we have supply side distortions, like childcare concerns, safety concerns, restrictive social norms, basically societal patterns which restrict women from entering the workforce. Okay, so policymakers, they should focus on both these types of distortions, the demand side distortions and the supply side distortions also. Okay? Then Russia's exports to India falter. UE rises as formidable competitor. What we are seeing is that India's imports from Russia have declined by 5.54% to $26.46 billion in the first 5 months. And Russia dropped to being the country's third largest supplier. And in contrast to it, we are increasing our imports from UAE. UAE has overtaken Russia to become India's second largest supplier of goods, with exports valued at $26.40 billion in April to August period. Okay, China is still the dominant top supplier. We have China, we have UAE, we have US, then Saudi Arabia, then Russia. These are the top five import sources. So Russia's position has declined to the fifth position. China, UAE, US, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Remember this, okay? Saudi Arabia strengthened its position as India's largest import partner with a surge of 24% growth. If I talk about trade composition from Russia, then Russia's exports remain heavily dominated by petroleum crude. ठीक है, and if I talk about UAE, UAE supplied petroleum and petroleum products and other amounts of gold, electronics, other technology driven goods. All this, these are imported from USA, from UAE. Then government stance on Russia. What is the government stance on Russia? That Indian government is defending the imports from Russia, citing the need to keep an energy security goals, hedge against geopolitical risk also. Right? So these were your important news articles from the newspaper. I hope these are clear. Just read the newspaper on your own as well. Okay? Very, very important. Now let's do a few MCQs. Let's see whether you guys have understood or not. Okay? Let's see whether you have understood or not. The first question: which department is leading the government's effort to simplify FDI rules and make the process more investor friendly? Department of Economic Affairs, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Reserve Bank of India, or Ministry of Finance? What is the answer to the first question? First, B. John is saying B, Muskan is saying B, which is absolutely correct. Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. What are the primary reasons cited by Moody's for retaining India's sovereign credit rating at Baa3 with a stable outlook? Decline in foreign investment and trade deficit, weak fiscal position and declining GDP growth, rising inflation and unstable government finances, large and fast growing economy, sound external position and stable domestic financing base. What is the what is the answer to the second question? Absolutely correct. Large and fast growing economy, sound external position, and stable domestic financing base. Right? Next, question number three. What was the main reason behind the slowdown in India's IIP growth to 4% in August 2025? Firstly, a slowdown in manufacturing despite recovery in mining and electricity, a sharp decline in mining and electricity production, rising inflation and weak consumer demand, a contraction in infrastructure goods output. What is the answer? Question number three. A is absolutely correct. Ashish, John, Muskan, a slowdown in manufacturing despite recovery in mining and electricity. Next question. Question number four. Which of the following statements about NABFID's new initiative is correct? NABFID is collaborating with IMF and ADB to provide complete loans for infrastructure companies. The initiative will provide partial credit guarantees to high rated infrastructure companies to reduce borrowing costs. Insurance and pension funds already allocate 50% of their portfolios to infrastructure financing. NABFID's initiative targets only companies with AAA ratings. Fourth question B is absolutely correct. It will provide partial credit guarantees to high rated infrastructure companies to reduce the borrowing costs. Which of the following statements correctly highlights the outcome of Gujarat's emission trading scheme for particulate matter pollution? Industrial units in Surat reduced emissions by only 5 to 10% and faced higher compliance costs. The ETS system was applicable only in developed countries and not suitable for low and middle income economies. ETS failed to provide cost benefits and functioned poorly compared to traditional regulations. Industrial units in Surat under ETS reduced particulate matter emissions by 20 to 30% and saw 11% lower abatement costs. ठीक है? What is the answer? Fifth question. John is saying E, Muskan and Ashish are saying D. E तो option ही नहीं था, है ना? John, E was not an option only. D is absolutely correct. Industrial units in Surat under ETS reduced particulate matter emissions by 20 to 30%, saw 11% lower abatement costs. Right? Okay. Sixth question. According to the article, repo rate cuts are lost in transmission. What has been the main reason for uneven transmission of repo rate cuts to lending rates? Strong growth in private investment and manufacturing utilization above 85%. Banks' cautious behavior, weak credit demand, and focus on protecting deposit margins. Rapid expansion of loans and advances leading to aggressive lending rate cuts. Government mandate requiring equal adjustment of lending and deposit rates. Sixth question B, absolutely correct. Banks' cautious behavior, weak credit demand, focus on protecting deposit margins, right? Seventh question, what is the main purpose of establishing modern seed breeding facilities in India? To expand irrigation facilities and reduce dependence on monsoon, to provide subsidies to farmers for purchasing hybrid seeds, to encourage advanced seed research and develop high yielding, disease resistant crop varieties, to replace traditional farming completely with greenhouse based farming. What's the answer? C is absolutely correct. To encourage advanced seed research and develop high yielding, disease resistant crop varieties. Right? Okay? Chaliye. Very good. Eighth question. What was the primary reason India decided to put the Indus Water Treaty on hold and move? Acha, this is not related to your question. Anyway, next. Which two primary types of labor market distortions does the research cited in the article distinguish between regarding women's participation? Wage based distortions and skill based distortions, high productivity distortions and low productivity distortions, demand side distortions and supply side distortions, developed economy distortions and developing economy distortions. Eighth question. Ashish says D, Muskan C, John C. C is the correct answer. Demand and supply side distortions. Okay. Then, ninth question. According to the article, what is the primary reason motivating OPEC Plus to plan another oil output hike for November? To lower oil prices and regain market share due to current rising oil prices, to counteract a sudden and severe drop in global oil demand, to comply with a long term agreement to stabilize global oil prices, or to fund a joint venture in renewable energy with non OPEC countries? Ninth question. Muskan and John have given me A as the answer. What about you, Ashish? The answer is A, to lower oil prices and regain market share due to current rising oil prices. 10th question. Which country has surpassed Russia to become India's second largest supplier of goods in the first 5 months of the current financial year? And what was the approximate value of its exports to India? Saudi Arabia, with exports valued at approximately $24.18 billion. US with exports valued at approximately $19.91 billion. China with exports valued at approximately $51.57 billion. UAE with exports valued at approximately $26.40 billion. Absolutely correct. UAE with exports valued at approximately $26.40 billion. Okay. So that is all from my side, everyone. This is what I wanted to discuss with you. I hope these things are clear. Just let me know in the comment section whether everything is clear. And if you want to connect with me beyond this session, then this is my Telegram handle. Just type Manat Educator and you will have access to my group. Okay? All right, John. I hope everything is clear. Really. So let's end the session over here. I will see you all in my next one. Till then, keep studying and I wish you all the best. Okay? Bye bye. Okay, Muskan, thank you so much and have a good day. Okay, bye bye.